morning and welcome. We are so excited to have you joining us for our pre-event, getting ready for what I think we just dubbed Pope Leo Live, the Holy Father joining us at the National Catholic Youth Conference next Friday, February, not November, not February, November the 21st, 2025. A truly historic and incredible moment that we get to have. My name is Katie Prejean McGrady. I am a SiriusXM radio host and a friend of the National Federation of Catholic Youth Ministry and NCYC. And we are so excited to have you joining us this evening to help us get ready to more fully understand what is about to unfold at the National Catholic Youth Conference next Friday, and truly the conference as a whole, an incredible historic gathering of young people in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've got a whole host of wonderful people gathering tonight to help get you excited, to give you all the information you need about how to watch next Friday's gathering. I was thinking earlier today, I have a long history with the National Catholic Youth Conference. I went to NCYC as an eighth grader back in 2003. Don't tell me if you were alive in 2003. We know a lot of young people are excited to come to this youth conference next week because it's this beautiful event that has a long history and so many incredible moments over the years. But what we're about to experience, this dialogue with the Holy Father, and you're going to hear more about this over the course of our evening, we've never had something like this before. In fact, I don't think we've ever really been able to say this has happened in our church before, a sit down conversation with the Holy Father to hear his heart and to help us more fully understand how we can love the Lord. And so we've got a great show for you tonight to help us get ready. I want to invite a friend of mine into our broadcast. Her name is Tanya Vergara. She is an alum of an incredible group of young people who help serve our church here in America. She's going to open us up in prayer. But first, before we pray, Tanya, you love the Holy Father, the current one, Pope Leo, but you also had a really cool encounter with Pope Francis a couple of years ago. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Tania Vergara Góngora, and I got to receive a virtual message from Pope Francis at my first NCYC in 2019 about going and finding the Lord. And I honestly didn't realize how much this message impacted my life until a few years ago. My mom likes to say, it was when I first said yes to God, even though I didn't really understand what that meant. And then in 2022, I got to receive another message from Pope Francis, but this time in person in the Vatican with the National Youth Advisory Council about living and finding joy in our lives, a message I've truly been doing my best to live out ever since. And my favorite part was that when making the friendship bracelet that we gave to Pope Francis, we included the color yellow, which unknowingly was the message that he actually gave us, the message of joy. So I truly invite you guys to open your hearts to receive that message that our Holy Father will give us at NCYC this year. Because who knows the impact that message might have on our lives a few years from now or for the rest of our lives. So, with that, I invite you to join me in reading this prayer. God of mercy and unity, you meet us in every conversation and speak into every heart, open to listen. As we enter this time of encounter, prepare our hearts for more than an event. Prepare us for a way of life marked by curiosity, dialogue, and connection. In a world so often divided, you invite us to come together, not to debate, but to understand, to see the image of Christ in one another, to share our questions, our fears, and our hopes without fear of being dismissed or ignored. Through the witness of Pope Leo XIV and the young people gathered, may we be inspired to become people of encounter, to listen before we speak, to seek unity over division, and to trust that your spirit moves through our open hearts. Let this encounter be a beginning. Give us the courage to carry the dialogue forward in our parishes, in our classrooms, in our families, and online. May our conversations reflect your love and our witness build a church where all are seen, heard, and known. We ask this through Christ our Lord, in the power and presence of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Tanya, thank you so much. What an incredible story. I mean, to give a friendship bracelet to the Holy Father, what a gift. I think it's such a cool thing to be able to say that so many of the people on our call tonight, and I'm sure many people watching, have moments of maybe personal encounter, or at the very least feel very connected to the Holy Father. The National Catholic Youth Conference is so honored to be able to hold this dialogue, to host this dialogue, to engage in this really remarkable conversation with the Vicar of Christ, the leader of the church on earth. On August the 15th, I woke up to a flurry of text messages from a few people who you're going to meet this evening. And there was this great excitement because we were finally able to share, they were finally able to share that we were actually going to have this dialogue with the Holy Father, that we were going to broadcast it around the world with EWTN, that young people were going to get to ask questions of the Holy Father. And then in the midst of all the excitement, as I was arranging for some people to come onto my live radio show to talk about it that day, because it was very newsworthy, I was asked a question. I was asked, do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to maybe help moderate the conversation with the Holy Father? And my jaw hit the floor when my dear friend Christina Llamas asked me that question. I said, of course, whatever you need, no questions asked. I'd love to be engaged with this because it is such a pivotal moment. But there's a whole story before that August 15th announcement, before that conversation I got to have with Christina. And the people who were part of making this happen are with us this evening. They had a very long day at their meeting at the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Cardinal Christophe Pierre, who voted for this pope. I don't know how he voted in the conclave, but he was in the conclave. And Archbishop Nelson Perez of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and Christina Llamas, the executive director of the National Federation of Catholic Youth Ministry. It's so great to have you all joining us on the call. Archbishop Perez, let's start with you. How did this get started? Can you kind of tell us the story?
Well, it started with Christina, who's always having dreams. Right? So Christina came to me with a dream that she wanted to see if we could get the Holy Father to do a live exchange with our youth here in this country. Initially, I said, well, maybe we could get a video. I don't know about a live exchange. So then I spoke to this person right here, right there, and I spoke to His Eminence, and he says, well, let's try. So I wrote to the Holy Father, and 2 weeks later, he, the cardinal, the Pope's representative to the United States, calls me on a Monday night to tell me that the Holy Father would be happy to. Then he sent chills down my spine because he said, and you have to prepare it well. I tried, I couldn't believe it. I got off the phone. I tried to get to Christina, but she was gallivanting around France somewhere. Uh, and then I called my very close friend, Monsi Alvarado, who is president and CEO of EWTN News. And we texted, and she said, you will, and I will help you, and you'll hear from her later. Um, then then we started working. Christina, Monsi, and I started working this. Um, I met with Vatican officials in Rome because His Eminence connected me with high-level people in the Vatican. And then Monsi and I also then met in September. Actually, we met with really high people in the Vatican. Actually, we were granted a private audience with His Holiness. So Monsi and I met for like 35, 40 minutes, 35 minutes. Here's a picture. This is a selfie uh, that that we took. Monsi, the Holy Father, and yours truly. And it was an amazing, amazing moment, a moment of grace. She'll talk about it later as well. And the Holy Father was just absolutely thrilled to to be here for the young people. This is happening because the Holy Father, Pope Leo, wants it to happen. And we are so incredibly grateful. Monsi and I experience his excitement, and we've worked very hard to give him what he needed. And he's super excited. So that was the selfie, and here we go. And we're now a little over a week away. Katie, Your Eminence, your words.
Well, the person who is actually excited is this gentleman. And he has been excited since the beginning. And, his excitement is contagious. So, actually, we have known each other for quite a few years now. I, this, he used to be the auxiliary bishop of Rockville Center. But, the nuncio is helping the Pope to appoint bishops. So once, some years ago already, I called you to tell you that the Pope was sending you in other diocese in Cleveland.
And he always asks, "Are you alone?"
And then a couple of years later,
Yeah, two and a half years later.
2.5, I call you again in the name of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, and he was sent to Philadelphia. Oh, Philadelphia! It seems that Philadelphia is the center of the world.
It is,
and it's still today.
Go Birds!
But so I'm very happy, to participate to this encounter. In the prayer that we read together, there is the word encounter. This word encounter is a key word from Pope Francis, and it's also a word which helps us, to understand what Pope Francis wanted and has wanted during all his pontificate. To encounter the persons, to encounter Jesus, and for us to be an instrument of the encounter. And I think what will happen with Pope Leo will be a magnificent encounter. But I tell you, this has to be well prepared. And I'm very happy for the good work which Monsignor Nelson and Montse you have done. I think I see that you are all very professional. I am quite impressed, let's be honest, And but now, it is not just a question of and Christine, of course, Christine, I've known you for many years. I've seen you working, convocating young people. The first time I saw you, how many young people there was in Indianapolis? 20,000. So we will, this lady, she's magnificent. She likes to call people and the young people. The first time actually we had this encounter, I was with the Archbishop, and we were together.
Yeah.
And the both of them, we had our backpack. And wandering around. What a wonderful experience. So I think now the only person who will have no backpack will be the Pope, but we will respect him for that.
We'll get him one.
We'll get him a backpack and a hat.
We'll get him one.
Christina, you dreamed big, and the Cardinal and Archbishop were able to put in some requests, and we got a yes. What does this moment mean to you, to have this opportunity to dialogue with the Pope?
Such an incredible opportunity, Katie, for the young people, for the church, for them to recognize that the church is with them, that they belong, they are heard, they are seen. And it's an opportunity for us to model what that looks like to be in dialogue. And so it's exciting. There's a lot of joy, gratitude. I'm extremely grateful for Archbishop Perez and Cardinal Pierre, who's made this happen. And with the partnership with EWTN, this can reach millions of young people, not just those in Lucas Oil Stadium. So a lot of gratitude and joy of what's to come next week.
It is such a huge moment, and to broadcast it out to the world, to have this digital encounter. Cardinal Archbishop Christina, thanks for kind of leading us into this deeper awareness of what's going to be happening. We want to bring into our conversation a dear friend of NCYC, Father Leo Patalinghug, to tell us a little bit about dialogue that, even if it's happening digitally, is actually a really beautiful opportunity to then become something profoundly incarnate. So Father Leo, welcome to our live stream. It's good to see you. Everybody seems to be in Baltimore right now, so we're glad that you're joining us. Tell us a little bit about what it means to transform a dialogue, a conversation that's very fruitful, into something incarnate, into something really, really meaningful in a person's life.
Incarnation is what makes our Catholic faith so unique. We're really celebrating the fact that God speaks to us in a way that we can understand, we can actually touch him, and it's beautiful to know that we can also taste and see the goodness of the Lord. And you are right. So many of the bishops from the United States are in Baltimore. In fact, I'm cooking for them. That's why I'm in my chef coat. And the reality is that's how Jesus was with people. He met people at the table. He wanted to show them that he was not a snob. He would eat with those who didn't feel like they were a part of a community. And in a digital world, it's very easy to limit our faith to just an experience of a screen or what we hear in our iPods. But really, this is just an invitation to something deeper and to something greater. And I think that our world is hungering for it. I know that you're probably aware of the fact that there are so many content creators online right now sharing their Catholic curiosity. They're seeking Catholicism. They're looking for mystery. And I'm actually going to be leading a pilgrimage in the Archdiocese of Baltimore because it's the first in the United States, very historical churches, including the tomb of the first American-born saint. And I want to give them a fullness of experience because one of the things that we in the Catholic Church do well, we practice our faith, but we also celebrate our faith. So this is a time to truly feast. And I love what St. Teresa of Avila said. When it's time to fast, it's time to fast. And maybe it's good to fast digitally from all of the stuff that just occupies our mind and feast on the incarnational experiences of God. That means reading the scriptures, learning about the saints, serving the poor. Hey, how about eating with your family and doing the dishes without complaining? You see, I think once we put our faith into practice, we realize that faith is not just limited to an experience as awesome as this, but it's really supposed to touch our hearts and minds. So simple and so clear. And we, in fact, call the sacraments visible and tangible signs of invisible and untangible grace, which means, especially when we receive the Eucharist. And I'm all about food as a priest and a chef. But guess what? Mom and Mother Church are right. You are what you eat. So let this digital message touch your hearts and minds, propel you to bring you to your knees and say some prayers, and make you hunger for God in the Eucharist.
Father Leo, thank you so much. I love this idea of we sometimes have to fast and we're sometimes in feast mode, but all of it is helping us more deeply form ourselves or allow the church to form us, but then also to then go be witnesses to the world. And I think online right now, let's just call it what it is. Catholicism is having a little bit of a moment. I think in the digital world, I can't, now part of it is my algorithm, but I can't really open my phone without seeing a ton of Catholic content, without seeing people very boldly and joyfully sharing their faith. In fact, I had the incredible opportunity with our next two guests to actually be in Rome at the end of July with a bunch of people who love to share their faith online and who want to embody the idea of being digital missionaries in the world. So I'd love to welcome into our conversation my good friend Eliza Montz. She is an incredible content creator, a Catholic digital missionary from South Carolina, and Monsignor Lucio Ruiz, who, let's give credit where credit is due. It is really early in the morning in Rome, and he is wide awake for all of us, joining us in this conversation to share about, Father Leo just said it, right? We can give witness to something in the digital world that then becomes an opportunity to live our faith in the day to day. Eliza, you and I were together in Rome. Fun fact, I got to walk with you into St. Peter's Basilica for your first time ever. And I did my trick where I said, keep your eyes closed, put your head down, don't look up until I tell you when to look up because it kind of hits you in the face. What was it like to be in Rome, to be at the Vatican, to have an encounter with other digital missionaries, and to see Pope Leo?
Absolutely unreal. I think even all these months later, I still haven't completely unpacked everything that we got to experience there and all of the graces that the Holy Spirit completely poured to overflowing in our hearts from that experience. It made me feel, as a digital missionary, it made me feel really, really seen by the church for what all the effort that I've been putting into this writing and content creation for many years. And it was such an encouragement that what we put forth on social media in the name of Jesus is not irrelevant and it's not frivolous, but social media is the modern day town square and it's where people spend their time. And of course, time is never wasted when we are sharing the beautiful and deep and extravagant love of Christ with others there, because that's where people are.
And Pope Leo spoke to us about this. He said, this is what you're doing here is actually an opportunity to then encounter people face to face. Monsignor Lucio, I think the world needs to know that this has been such an incredible effort that you've helped guide and lead. Why did the church gather Catholic influencers at the Vatican for this jubilee of digital missionaries and influencers, historic gathering that's never happened before?
Thank you. Was a wonderful, wonderful moment to meet these missionaries and these influencers, Catholic influencers here in Rome. And why we want to gather them? First, because I wanted to tell them that the church love them, that the church greatly value their mission, and the church accompanied them in their journey. The second argument is because if they are on a really and truly mission, they need accompaniment, formation, recognition, which is what the Synod has asked us at the church to do. Well, the Jubilee was a way, the opportunity to begin this synodal journey in this digital world. There are also the third motivation, because it was important to give a visible sign to all the church of this recognition of the value of the mission in the digital environment. And the Jubilee, with everyone in communion together, was a propitious moment to give this sign for the church. And the last, I think that because the two arms of the Bernini columns, which embrace the whole world, wanted to represent the church embracing the influencers and missionary during this day, so that coming as a pilgrim, they could return home as a children. That's it.
I think we certainly felt that way, Eliza, when we were there on that Tuesday morning. We had Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, and somebody popped out to see us. He kind of had his, I affectionately call it Pope Leo's Celine Dion moment, because he like did a big loop around and waved at everybody and embraced the crowds. And you got to reach out and touch his hand. What was that like, real quick? Tell us, like, the energy of getting to shake the Holy Father's hand as he passes by.
My goodness. I remember reading after the fact, NPR shared an article covering the moment, and they said Pope Leo got a rock star welcome. And I said, that certainly describes what it was like. We were just losing our minds. And it was what I think I had to explain to some of my friends when I got back home, that it was a surprise. We were not told about it. And so naturally we just lost our minds. And my goodness, it was, I think I will never forget the very particular parts of my hand that got to shake his in that one little moment. And something that I think I will remember for the rest of my life. I already have the photo saved on my phone that I'm going to print out and put in a big picture frame to put in my living room, because it's worth remembering for the rest of my life. It's so special.
I've got my two Pope photos behind me all the time, and I like immediately show them to people when they come over. Monsignor, I loved what you said. Love, accompaniment, this visible witness, and embracing you on this mission, which we all get to do in this digital encounter with the Holy Father. This is a chance to feel his love for us, to be accompanied by what he says, this beautiful visible witness of how the Holy Father wants to come close to young people in the United States and around the world and really send us on mission. So thank you for sharing your hearts with us. Monsignor Lucio, we'll let you go back to bed. Eliza, thank you for joining us from South Carolina. This rock star welcome of the Holy Father, it happens. He comes into the space and like everybody starts screaming or crying or a combination of the two, because there is this great joy at and let's call Pope Leo, he's quite petite. So this shorter man in white who emerges, and instantly everybody is just captivated by him. We have joining us tonight two very special guests who I think also get rock star welcomes. Uh, and I have to say I'm so delighted that these two wonderful men who serve our church in such dynamic and engaging ways in print and online and in music and on TV and in movies. You're probably here because you were excited to get to hear a conversation with Matt Maher and Jonathan Rumi. Welcome to our live stream, guys. We're so happy to have you joining us. Thank you for taking the time. I'll just jump right in. Matt, you and I had a conversation after we both saw the Pope on that Tuesday at the Jubilee, and you were pretty convinced the Holy Father was staring at you, not because he knew who you were, but because of another reason. Can you share that with us?
Just probably like, is that Kenny Rogers or Michael McDonald in this third row?
I think we have a photo perhaps of that, the two of you kind of like staring at one another from across St. Peter's. We'll see if we can cue that up. I think I sent that one in. If not, it's on your Instagram. But you got
Yeah,
to see the Holy Father and you were with your family. Can you tell us about that?
I was. Yeah. So on Saturday, we were, part of, I think there was five artists sort of kind of representing the globe who were performing as part of the Jubilee of Youth. And, and so there was a band from Italy, there was a band from Brazil, um, I think a group from France, and the other one I think is there's also a group there from Seoul but they were kind of visiting pilgrims for World Youth Day, and so I was kind of there on behalf of English speaking people, being a Canadian and an American, and
Close
and
enough.
so
Close.
yeah, close, yeah. So that morning, my family and I met. We had an audience with the Holy Father at the Apostolic Palace, which was incredible, and it was very last minute. Like it typically when you go to Rome, a lot of that stuff is because it's the Pope has a very busy schedule, so he kind of fit it in, and so we were all sort of arranged in a row, and like in a half moon, and Monsignor Fisicelli comes in with him, I think he's the head of the dicastery for evangelization, and so I'm just like thinking to myself, don't say anything stupid, and then it dawns on me as he gets close that like my family orders reversed from the direction of the Pope, and my youngest child is first in my family. And it's at this point it's too late to change anything. And so I'm like, oh, how is this going to go? So this is my favorite photo of meeting the Pope. That's my youngest child who, when he met the Holy Father, he said, "Hi, Holy Father, my name is Callum and Matt Maher's my dad." And that's just him pointing at the Pope or pointing down the line. So I just thought, well, great. This is I just my moment got ruined before it even started.
But didn't he laugh? Like he and
Oh
Monsignor
yeah.
kind of
Oh yeah.
giggled.
They
Yeah.
they they were cracking up about it. So yeah, that's there it is down in infamy. It was
I
great. But it
I
was
love it.
yeah, it was a beautiful meeting, and I've been very fortunate to sing around the past four popes, including Pope Leo, and there is a charism to each papacy,
Hmm.
and it's the combination of the office and the man. And it's the grace of the office and the grace of like the Petrine office, and then how it works through a man is unique, because they each have a different charism, and there's a real kindness. I just like being around Pope Leo, and you get a sense he's really comfortable with the job. Like
Yeah.
it's not about him. I mean, and with all the popes, I mean, it changes you. But he's just seems like he's kind of eased into it, settled into it really quickly. It's like a supernatural grace.
Yeah. There is this gentle warmth and kindness that kind of instantly exudes. Jonathan, you got to meet the Holy Father in June. Was it before or after some pretty intense filming? Tell us kind of the story of getting to spend some time with the Pope.
Yeah, we had just wrapped our Italian portion of filming for season 6 in Matera, which is in the south of Italy. basically the crucifixion. And like 72 hours later, we were up in, well, less than 24 hours later, like 18 hours later, we were in Rome. We drove up, it's like 4 or 5 hour drive north. So we finished filming like 7 in the morning, and then 1 o'clock we were on the road to Rome. And then Monday we had press and screenings and with the Vatican press corps of one of our episodes of season 5. And then Tuesday I got to sleep. And then Wednesday we got to meet Pope Leo. And yeah, it was pretty extraordinary. So it was me and I think 4 other cast members and a bunch of our crew and team members. It was great.
And you pulled your phone out and took a selfie,
I did
a
it.
great selfie that we all like were anxious to see the selfie, and then somebody scooped you. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I was like, I'll give it a minute and I'll post this once I kind of settle. And then all of a sudden I saw, I'm like, oh my gosh, Pope Leo scooped me. He posted the thing first. I'm like, son of a, I can't even. Okay. So I'm trying to do a better job, but yeah, I was chuffed to say the least that they posted that photo. And then I'm like, dang it, now I got to really just
You
get
got to
this out.
really post it real fast.
So I posted my version, basically that photo there, which
That
is
photo, yeah. Which
yeah.
I think it just proves that the Pope was excited to meet you, just as excited as you might have been to meet the Holy Father. Had he
It
seen The
was
Chosen?
well, it was kind of funny even for that moment. He's like, I don't know if we're supposed to do. I'm like, yeah, just get in there. We'll do it. I just snapped. He
That
was
was
like,
pretty
okay,
early. Yeah, that
yeah,
was pretty early
yeah,
on.
yeah. I don't think I think I want to say I snapped the first selfie with him,
I
but
I
I
think
was
you
gonna
might have
say,
been.
I
Yeah.
think you did.
really
I think you got the first papal selfie
There you
in
go.
history. Yeah,
mate.
So, well, he scooped you. He scooped
yeah,
you,
Yeah,
but
he's stupid.
he had like there were a couple of videos of people trying to take selfies with him like
Yeah,
immediately after his election, and he said no. So you
no.
set the stage,
I
and you
think
gave him some DVDs and
I
something
did.
else.
Yeah. So he when he approached me, he had a big smile on his face. I'm like, okay, it's good. That's a good sign when he's if
yeah.
somebody's approaching you and they're smiling. Generally a good sign. I was like, okay, this might go well. And so he says, my brother is a huge fan. He's seen all the episodes. I gotta be honest. I haven't seen the show yet. I said, well, I got a remedy for you. We got a stack load of DVDs right here. I'm sure there's a DVD player somewhere in the Vatican that still works. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's like, okay, okay, cool. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he actually took me up on that offer and can his DVDs.
We'll
But
we'll try to slip the
we got more
question in
important
next
things.
week.
So,
What
yeah.
episode did you like best, Holy Father? Jonathan, I want to ask. There's something that happens. I think when a new pope's elected. I mean, obviously, like it's a historical moment, but
Mm,
I think for us here in the United States of America, like it's a pretty monumental moment to say this is an American pope. Like he grew up in Chicago. We learned yesterday or the day before one of his favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life, which means like the Holy Father's watching the same Christmas movies that we've all grown up watching, and that's just kind of wild. And you've been back to Rome since that encounter for the canonizations of
yeah.
Saint Carlo and Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati. What was the vibe? Like people are excited to see the Holy Father and
Oh,
excited to
yeah.
see you, but like there is this Leo fever moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think obviously in the Vatican, it's people are there for him, and his countenance and exactly what Matt was saying, and like everything that he brings, his charism and his charisma, his like, everything that colors his pontificate up to this point and beyond, and who he is as a person, it kind of bleeds right through, and you immediately sense who he is as a man and as a steward of this position, and as a disciple of Christ and a vicar of Christ. And it's really awesome just to see truly how, as Matt was saying, how comfortable he is with it. It's like, okay, yeah, he feels like the minute he was elected. I remember watching, I was filming in Utah. We had just started filming season 6 of The Chosen, and I was in Utah at the time, and I was watching in my kitchen where I was staying, and when he walked out, I wept because I thought, number one, I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime, an American as Pope. And number two, just the kindness that radiated from him, the warmth, and then to see the emotion inside his face, because I'm studying his face. It's like, what's going through his mind, you know? And it was just beautiful to see all of that just right there on the surface.
Yeah, he choked up a little bit. You could kind of see it in his, he did the dad clench, like he clenched his teeth because he didn't want to cry.
Yeah.
Matt,
So
we
true.
were texting back and forth after they announced this digital encounter with the Holy Father. And you said something, I don't know if you recall this in the text. You were like, I think this is going to be a monumental moment. Like, this is going to be a big thing in the history of our American Catholic Church, that the first American Pope is really his first visit to the US is this conversation with young people. You have kids, like you have young kids. Tell us what this means for you as a dad who is maybe even watching this as you're forming children in the world right now and in the faith. What does this mean to you?
Yeah, I mean it's all kind of new. It's unprecedented. I mean, growing up, in the JP2 papacy, I grew up in Newfoundland. He came to Newfoundland in 1984. That was a big deal that he was the most seen person in human history at that point. And think about how far we've progressed now, where now the Pope is doing Zoom calls with teenagers. It's
It's wild.
it's incredible, and it also I think he's trying to demonstrate the willingness, and I think even our bishops in the U.S. will pick up on it. It's our the willingness of leaders to be available to young people, just to be down on their level. It's I mean, Bishop Perez was on here earlier. I've been around Bishop Perez. It's like third hand at so many in Cleveland and in Philadelphia, and it's like when you're around a bishop who's at sort of a public event but who's available. It's like our bishops, they each have gifts to offer to the young people of the church. And I think that's what the Bishop of Rome in some ways is setting an example of as a leader, as he's saying, hey, you can be yourself and you can relate to young people. You have a lot of life experience and wisdom and a journey of faith. And that's what young people kind of want more than ever. They want to know that what you believe means something to you, and that you're for real, that it's not a job, it's not an act. This is who you are. This is shaping and forming your identity. It's the thing that's, informing all your decisions. So it's uncharted territory, just in the sense of I'm just looking forward to seeing how in real time, or, it's different at a World Youth Day because that stuff gets planned, down to the minute for so long. And even the Jubilee of Families, there were moments during that vigil where young adults would sort of kind of present lists of concerns and needs, very, very much like a synod. But this feels a little bit like more of, we'll get to see a little bit of the Pope's pastoral heart on a spontaneous level.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'll be what we're all kind of most moved by. It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
customary, I think, to hear from the Pope. It's not
yeah.
customary to be able to talk back and forth and just chit chat,
Yes, exactly. And that's the part that I'm looking forward to my kids seeing is you're growing up all of a sudden realizing, oh, he's a real person.
Mm.
And he's walking with Jesus just like I'm walking with Jesus. And he's got a bit more of an important job right now. But
He
but
can offer some
but
advice about that. Yeah.
but our sanctity, our call to sanctity is no less important than his.
Yeah. Jonathan, when you got to meet the Holy Father at the end of June, I mean, you got to have kind of one of these pastoral moments where, and I think we can all three speak to this. You meet the Pope and you feel like you're the only person standing in front of him for that 60 to 90 seconds that you have with him. The rest of the world kind of fades away. I choked up when I met the Holy Father, and as I'm trying to get to my next word, he very softly and gently said, "It's okay." Like a dad, just saying it's okay. You can say the thing that you very much practiced saying. Jonathan, you had this moment of encounter surrounded by castmates, but you kind of got to have a little one-on-one moment. You gave the Holy Father not just DVDs, but something quite personal. Can you share with us what you gave him?
Yeah, I wanted to have a gift made that was really personal to me and to I guess what I represent as a sort of a media missionary in the world right now, as an artist, as an actor. And so we gave him a little my production designer, James Cunningham, he did such a brilliant job with this. But I asked him to help me make something for the Pope, and that was like from this season and maybe from Italy. And so what he did was so when we film, let's say like the way, the way of the cross, like in Jesus's like cross, there's cross beams, right? And so there's several copies of them in case something falls and they break and they crack or paint chips off. So they have another one ready to go at all times. And when that one's being repaired, there's a third one. And then, or the first one that chipped, they're painting it and just getting that ready to go. So they had extra cross beams. So we took pieces of the one of the cross beams and made a little box out of the wood of the cross beam of one of the crosses that I used, and then included in it a nail, a piece of a bloodied piece of garment from the robe from the Passion, and I think a thorn from the crown of thorns, and we just sort of presented it as this little kind of token of appreciation and just a little bit of a day in the life for what we do on the show. And yeah, so I mean, it was in a box and everything. So he didn't open it or anything like that. So but he accepted it very, very graciously. And he encouraged me, like, just as he kind of departed, he just said, what you're doing is really important. And, and he's like, I think he said, like, keep going, which just for him to kind of even take a moment to acknowledge that and sort of see the mission behind what I'm doing with this role and how it speaks to me personally beyond just that as an actor, just as a role for an actor, really meant the world to me.
Yeah. He's a good dad. He's a
Yeah.
good Holy Father.
Yeah.
Matt, Jonathan, last question as we are preparing for this digital dialogue with the Holy Father next Friday. We're going to hear the Holy Father say a lot of things. We don't know what those things are. I feel like it's important for people to know it's not scripted answers that we're expecting to get from him. Like, it's going to be a conversation and a dialogue. What do you hope? You can't like put words in the Holy Father's mouth, but what do you hope the impact of this will be on our church in the United States and in the world? Matt. I'll make you go first, friend.
Take it away, Matt.
Yeah. I think we have a real propensity right now to get siloed. And I think it's a big body of Christ. I think it's a big bride. I think it's a big church. It's a global church. And I think now more than ever before, we kind of need to be awakened to the reality of that. Just the size and the scope of body of Christ, particularly for young people, so that they don't feel alone. So that they, like young people especially, can realize, oh man, there's believers in like Southeast Asia, and there's Catholics in Australia, and there's Catholics, in Mexico and Syria, and like Eastern Europe and Ireland and France. And I think there's a gift with the universality of the office of the Holy Father, what he brings is I feel like he kind of points us, back to the global universal church, and that we kind of get reawakened. I think it was George Weigel who said the Catholic Church is a sleeping giant. So I hope the giant wakes up.
Yeah, and I would kind of add to that. I think the fact that this Q&A is happening with young people is really, really telling about not only his heart for the next generation, but what it means to be a shepherd, forming the youngest of us, and commensurately how even this encounter with young people will ultimately, I think, affect the parents of those young people, or the guardians or stewards of those young people, and I think sort of by proxy, like those families will be impacted, and then the adults will be impacted because of their kids, and in connecting with other adults and talking about this thing, like, can you believe he was there just answering questions for our youth, and what does that say also about the American church, specifically, and just feeling like, hey, we have a voice in the global church now that we've never had before in that way, and I think there's been a lot of people that have just, I don't know, just sort of, not to sound harsh, but kind of written off the American church, like it's just, like none of us care, and then that's the furthest from the truth, and it's kind of put a spotlight on us here in the United States, and just said, no, like we are. I think the giant has awoken in many ways, and now we're being given a voice to kind of, to see that through, and his willingness to kind of have this dialogue is just, I think, would be profoundly inspirational for the church as a whole, especially in America.
Jonathan, Matt, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it, guys. We're so grateful that you took the time. Um,
You.
Matt's on tour. Jonathan, you're kind of all over and everywhere. So folks need to go find them on socials and follow them because they're great digital missionaries. Thank you all for taking the time to join us. The both of them mentioned that this conversation is happening with young people. And that is, we really want to harp on this. It's a conversation with the Holy Father. I'm thrilled to get to kind of moderate some of our transitions in and out of the conversation with the Pope. But it's young people who are going to be asking him these questions. It's young people who have been a part of the entire process of making this reality. And so we want to introduce to you a couple of the young people who will be on stage, who will be part of this dialogue with the Holy Father. I've gotten to know them over the past few. We've had Zoom calls for weeks with all of these wonderful young people. Claire, Ezekiel, welcome. Congratulations on being chosen and being a part of this incredible dialogue. Claire, you're from the Pope's homeland. You are from Chicago. Welcome to the call. Tell us what it's been like to kind of help develop these conversations and this dialogue process to talk to the Holy Father.
I just first want to say that this opportunity has been so amazing and I'm so grateful. And this preparation has been going on for a couple months now. And with the first meeting being in October, and with 30 youth from around the nation, had a big conversation. And it really started, we got to see what were the questions and concerns of the youth today. And with the 8 that have been selected, we really want the voices to be heard during this dialogue. And a great thing about this conversation with the Pope is that it is a dialogue and not a Q&A. And we hope that this conversation seeks like connection and understanding. And so that like we can, yeah, it's just a beautiful opportunity and it's so great.
I love you're saying something that we've been emphasizing with all of you in our preparation and our work and in our prayer of dialogue, of talking to each other, of learning how to listen, of learning how to respond, that active listening skills. In a lot of ways, I think it gives this really cool witness to the wider church. Hey, if the Pope can sit down for a conversation with young people, every bishop should be sitting down for a conversation with young people, every pastor, every parent, right? Every adult and a young person, young people together. Ezekiel, you're going to get to ask the Holy Father a question. What does that mean to you?
Honestly, it means the absolute world to me. Like, it's an honor and a great privilege to get to talk to the Holy Father. And honestly, it makes me feel like my voice is heard, and it makes me feel like the youth of America voice is heard. And it's honestly very assuring to know that the Pope, the Holy Father, genuinely wants to indulge in dialogue with the youth. It makes me feel like a reassurance in our community and the youth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's he cares. I mean, if he wanted to, he could have this conversation with anybody. He could sit down for a conversation with a journalist. He's done that. He could sit down for a conversation with 60 Minutes. He could sit down for a conversation with somebody writing a book. He's choosing to sit down and have a conversation with teenagers in the United States of America, which is no small thing. So Ezekiel and Claire, we are so excited that you are joining us. I can't wait to see you guys next week. We've got lots of rehearsals and all the things to do, but we are so stoked. And congratulations. The rest of the young people who'll be involved in all of this will be announced tomorrow. So stay tuned for some wonderful profiles of the young people that have been selected. But Claire, Ezekiel, we're so happy that you guys took the time to join us this evening and got to share your hearts with us. You know, this process has been unfolding for months. He's only been Pope for 6 months, and yet this process has been unfolding for months. And two of the incredible people at the helm of this are Cristina Llamas and Montse Alvarado of the National Federation of Catholic Youth Ministry and of EWTN. And these two powerhouse women have brought to life this incredible encounter, this incredible opportunity to be able to have this dialogue, to be able to have this very personal moment with the Holy Father that the whole world will get to watch, thanks to the incredible genius of EWTN. So yes, it's 15,000 people in a football stadium, but then it's hundreds of thousands, if not millions more, viewing it to actually hear the words of the Holy Father. How are we going to actually get to watch that? Cristina and Montse, welcome to the call. Welcome to the show. Montse, let's start with you. You were in that private meeting, with the Holy Father. Tell us what that was like. You got to go into the little office. There's multiple offices at the Vatican. You got to go to the little office with Archbishop Perez.
We did. It was very early in the morning, and he had a chance to wait for the Holy Father. And then when he was ready, he ushered us in. I gave him, everyone knows that his favorite candy is Peeps. So I gave him Peeps for his birthday because we saw him a week before his birthday, just to remind him he's a little American. And he's like, I'm a lot of it American. So Archbishop Perez was hilarious and, loving and kind, and everything that everyone said about the Holy Father is true. But we were really there to champion Christina's dream, and to convince him of this idea to not just have something happen within Lucas Oil Stadium, but to have it be a part of what Pope Francis began with the digital missionary and influencer movement. And that's what we're doing here today. So it's very exciting.
Talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, EWTN broadcasts around the world. Mm-hmm. My algorithm is such that I see your content all the time. I think a lot of people are getting all of this content, but you're putting this all over. I mean, tell us what that is like to literally beam the Holy Father's conversation out to the world.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of working at EWTN. We've always just beamed the Holy Father to the world, whether it's Pope Francis or where it was Pope Benedict. EWTN is multi-platform, it's multi-channel. So you can watch it on TV. If you have cable, you can go and put on EWTN if it's part of your package. We have the EWTN streaming app, so you'll be able to watch this on EWTN Plus, our app. If you're a Roku user, you get the fancy version of the app that everyone else is going to have in January. And then you also can watch on YouTube and on your phone. Anywhere you are, EWTN is too. And with this, the Holy Father is also with you wherever you are. So at 10 o'clock, even if you just Google EWTN, you'll be able to click on our website and watch it live. And we're making that possible, not only for that moment with the Holy Father, but the entire NCYC experience, because Christina's team has done a phenomenal job walking us into what the sacraments are supposed to be. And as teenagers, I think young people, it wasn't that long ago that I was a young person. Young people really kind of want to understand, and look around and find people who look like them and feel the way that they do about Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be a really cool moment for people who maybe have never heard of NCYC to see the history and the longevity and the impact. I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I was in 8th grade when I was thrown on a bus and driven to Houston, Texas to go to an NCYC. And I looked around, I was like, where did my mom kidnap me to? And now to think that over 20 years later, now we're here at this moment and we get to have a conversation with the Holy Father at this event. This dialogue with the Holy Father is inside NCYC. Cristina Llamas, you've brought NCYC to life over the past decade with your leadership of the Federation. It's grown to new heights. Tell us a little bit about NCYC and how we're welcoming the world into this moment, but what that entire conference really is all about.
Absolutely, Katie. I would say it's a powerful encounter of church. And so you have 3 days with young people being accompanied by their chaperones or delegation leaders, youth ministers. We have bishops, we have clergy, hundreds of volunteers who are accompanying these young people with powerful moments of encounter through speakers and the live exhibit experience and many prayerful opportunities. And our Holy Father gets to be a part of NCYC. NCYC becomes our Holy Father and be able to have this dialogue. So it's part of a historic moment. So whether you're in Lucas Oil Stadium or you're watching some of the post resources that will be available, or you're watching it live in a digital, your own living room, you're part of a historic moment where we've welcomed the Holy Father in a dialogue that he'll have directly with young people, and can't wait for that message to see what he has to share.
Give us a few of the logistics so that people know precisely how they can sign up to be notified. I was emailing a bunch of my Catholic school educator friends today being like, you should be watching this with your classrooms on the Friday morning, no questions asked. And we've actually got resources for presenting to folks to be able to turn this into kind of a learning experience. Where can folks find all of that info, Christina?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of places. The first and foremost, I believe, has been dropped into the chat. And so if you can go ahead and click on the link that's in the chat. And it's really, if you go to ncyc.us on our website, you can also find it there. But if you register for the digital experience, that will give you the direct access to the link. As Monse said, you can also find it directly on EWTN's channels. But if you want a reminder, register for the link. Once you register, then you have access to all of the resources. And so that if you're going to gather, let's say, a post-watch party, there will be resources available for you for all the young people themselves, a youth minister, campus minister, a parent who wants to continue the dialogue at home. And so all those resources will be available around December 4th, but also the post live stream. And so afterwards, how do you begin to break it open and rewatch it? All of that information will be available for those who register. We'll give them all the links, and especially some giveaways as well. And so there's some prizes coming along. So if you register, you have all the information. That'll be the easiest way, but also you can just go on to EWTN's, any of their platforms, and then you can also watch it live directly.
It's such a gift. Christina, I think a lot of us just want to say thanks for dreaming big and for not being afraid to send that text and terrify Archbishop, who had to go ask Cardinal, who then needed Monse, and all of the incredible. Can you truly believe that we live at a time such as this? Like that we were made for a time such as this to get to have this incredible encounter with our American Pope. I'll say it, even though we have a Frenchman joining our call shortly. We won the conclave. And now we get the Holy Father to join us at the bishop's event for young people. So although as Cardinal Christophe Pierre said in his post-game conversation at the NAC, Prévost is French, as is Jean. So I think we can all claim a little bit of Bobby from the South Side. Monse, Christina, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the call. We're going to welcome back Archbishop Perez and that Frenchman, Cardinal Christophe Pierre, our Pope's representative here in the United States, to close us out, maybe with some final thoughts. I know y'all had a very long day at the USCCB meeting, so we won't keep you for long, but after everything you've heard, the excitement of young people, the encounters that people have had with the Holy Father, what it means to be on mission, and that this is a digital encounter that means something in the world, thoughts? Oh, we have to say it at least on one Zoom call. Archbishop, you're on mute.
I think this is a historic moment of grace, right? That the Lord has given us through his Vicar of Christ, through the Vicar of Christ here on earth. We should be profoundly grateful for such a gift. This is the Pope's first visit to the United States digitally. What an incredible gift. Your Eminence?
Well, there's something very interesting. I've been 1 hour watching you, listening to you. Actually, Kathy, you are fantastic. Let's be,
Thank you, Cardinal.
But, there is something very interesting in that, because usually we are all, watching television, watching internet, but it's in isolation. But through, the encounter with the Pope will allow many, many people to get to be together. And it will be an event of a church event, a moment of evangelization, a moment of sharing. It will be a true encounter. Of course, we know the amount of work which is being done, to prepare this event. But the work is very important because in the work you are already in the event, And I think first and foremost, thank you for putting all your enthusiasm in this event. But I think we have to be full of admiration because something happened, and through that, the Lord will work in a very deep way. Mm-hmm.
Amen. Eminence, would you please give us your blessing?
Yes. So may God bless you all of us who are listening. I don't see many people for the moment, but I see you, and through you, I know that the Lord is watching us and filling our hearts. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you.
Amen. Archbishop Cardinal Christophe Pierre, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this call. And thank all of you for joining us at this NCYC pre-event next Friday, November the 21st, 2025. The Holy Father is visiting the United States for the first time in this incredible digital encounter. We want you to tune in. We want you to join us. We'd love your prayers as we continue all of our final preparations in welcoming the Holy Father into the National Catholic Youth Conference. Don't forget, if you go to NCYC.us, you can also follow NCYC on all the social channels, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You can also follow EWTN. There's a lot that's going to be posted about this. We want you to join us. Do not miss it. Just so you also know, I know that some folks who tuned in are very much expecting some prizes. Details about all of that will be emailed in the coming days. And of course, all of the post-event resources. I'll just close by simply saying this. When I met Pope Leo at the end of July, it was at the conclusion of our digital jubilee. And my boss, Cardinal Dolan, I work for the Archdiocese of New York with SiriusXM's The Catholic Channel. He'd arranged for me to have a handshake. And you're standing in a long line waiting to shake the hand of the Holy Father. And so I'm waiting in the line. I'm getting nervous. My hands are sweaty. I don't know what I was going to say. And I thought back to May 8th, the moment that we met Robert Francis Prevost, and he introduced himself to the world as Leo XIV. And I'm now about to shake his hand as he's standing underneath the very same balcony that I'd watched him walk out on just a few months before. And as I got closer, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to say, and I get up to him and I stick my hand out and I said, "Hello, Holy Father. My name is Katie Prejean-McGrady. I work for Cardinal Dolan." He chuckled. And the first thing he said was, "How do you do?" And I wanted to look at him and say, "I'm fine, Holy Father. How are you?" And then I realized he's speaking English because he's from Chicago. And we got to have a conversation with each other and we understood each other entirely. Now, I was maybe talking out of my head because I was nervous, but I felt so loved and seen, and I knew I could understand our Holy Father. And in that moment, that brief dialogue, I felt like I was at home in the church, more than maybe I'd ever felt before, although I love this church. And in that encounter, really everything about my perception of faith was reinforced and changed. And that was in 90 seconds. And we get to have 45 minutes of conversation with the Pope next Friday. So I cannot wait to see the incredible transformations that occur in the hearts of all of us who get to have the conversation with the Pope, who get to watch this conversation that then sparks incredible conversations in our classrooms, among our youth groups, with our families, with our friends. So please join us next Friday, November the 21st at 10:15 Eastern Time. All the information is available on NCYC.us. We can't wait to see you there. Pray for us, and we'll see you soon.
You live in a world filled with voices on TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. And sometimes it feels like no one is really listening. But here's the truth. Pope Leo wants to meet you on those very platforms because he wants to be close to you. We want every single one of you to be a part of this moment because this is your chance to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. Not just by the church, but by the Holy Father himself. This isn't just another live stream. It's an encounter where Pope Leo is choosing to walk with you, to listen to you, and to remind you that your life and your faith matter. So don't miss it. Join us for this historic moment with Pope Leo, because the future of the church is now, and it begins with you.
Seen, heard, valued. An encounter with Pope Leo XIV at NCYC 2025. Live, Friday, November 21st at 10:15 a.m. Eastern on EWTN.